For the past few years, we have listened to Crystal Swirlz tell the story, excuse me, tell the lie of her oldest son abusing his younger brother. The fact of the matter is, any and all abuse that went on in your home, Crystal Swirlz, was done by you and your youngest son's biological father. The two of you were the abusers. And you were arrested for it when you beat him with a cord and metal spoon. Both children were taken to the hospital to be examined. A caseworker from New York City Administration for Children's Services spoke to the examining physician at the hospital, who told the caseworker that your oldest son said that you and the infant, meaning Angelo's biological father, had physically abused him. You had accused your older son of, that M word you like to use, of doing that to his brother. The physician told the caseworker after your younger son was examined that he was found to be injury free. You heard that? He was injury free. And that his genitals were observed and there were no visible signs of trauma. You lied, Crystal Swirlz. You lied then, and you continue to lie today. Your children were placed in a foster home, and you put in a request that they be put in separate foster homes because your evil-minded ways tried to convince them that your older son was going to do something to your younger one. In that home, Angelo's eye was injured. And he had a few scratches on his forehead and his cheek. Angelo was examined by a nurse, and it indicated that his left eye had some discoloration. But there were no abnormalities to your younger son's rectal area. No abnormalities in the rectal area. So this gaping hole that you used to talk about, that's a lie. Like everything else that you say is a lie. Along with telling this story, you had us all thinking, oh, New York City, they're scared of you. They don't want to deal with Crystal Swirlz. They're scared of you. You have a lawsuit against them. And mind you, back in, I guess, 2018, 19, I called you to tell you that your case had been dismissed a year before. And what did you tell me? Oh, New York's not scared of you because your claims were denied. But I think you ran from New York because you know deep down that you are the abuser. You'd already been arrested once for it. You didn't want it to happen again, allegedly, right? Oh, Crystal Swirlz, you really, really, really should get some help. I hear you talking about how you want your oldest son to die. If he died, you wouldn't want to hear about it because you don't claim him. Well, guess what? You can't claim Angelo anymore either, now can you? Because now he's in a group home. He's been taken away out of your care. That check has disappeared from your grasp. And now on that recorded phone call that is very much illegal that you had with that woman a couple of lives ago. We all heard it, so you can't deny it. He's in a group home. And now you want to play the good mother, talking you're going to bring him snacks and clothes and an iPad. It's those snacks that you feed him is what, among other things, got him sick to where he vomited on the floor. And you were too busy doing a live stream to clean it up. That right there, besides seeing your house on video, shows just how disgusting you are and how disgusting you live. You had your child that you pretend to give a shit about living in that filth with you. You think because you just shove some food down his throat that you're taking care of him. No, ma'am. Belittling him, calling him an ape, calling him stupid, and you love to bring up the fact that he can't talk. Because that's why you got in trouble the first time. Because your first son talked and told who he needed to tell about all the evil things you did. Remember those things that you were arrested for? Many times we have heard you say that the child is what the mother is. Of course, you were speaking about race, but I'm going to take that statement of yours anyway. Now, I am not calling Angelo an ape, but for the sake of argument, again, and using your statement that the child is what the mother is. So, Angelo is your son, as you like to say, my son, my child. Well, you're the mother. And if he's an ape, then you're an ape. All this time on YouTube, I don't think you've ever told the truth about anything. Except maybe your weight, because you really can't hide that. But even in that, you're delusional, thinking that you have an hour shape, an hourglass shaped figure. Are you kidding me right now? Who do you think you're fooling? Just yourself. You go on and on about dating a Brad, living in the suburbs. You had the money, $250,000 worth, to do just that thing, moving to the suburbs, or at least somewhere nice. But no, you chose. I'm gonna, you know what? Some trashy neighborhood, I'm just gonna put it that way, with the projects across the street. So you ain't nowhere near the suburbs. Honestly, I think I'm almost certain you had absolutely no intentions of moving to a suburb. Even if you got a Brad, I'll choke on saying that. Because you know that you would stick out like a sore thumb. You know you do not fit into that world. I mean, you went from Angelo's father, who we now know was also abusing your older son. So, Mr. Take Care of You from the grave, if he was beating them, he was probably beating you too. Because who did you hook up with? Another abuser, Milkman. Met him at a shelter and had him living with you in less than a week, and then y'all hightail to Florida, where we all know that he beat your ass there too, probably in front of your son. And then when you get a nice guy, you treat him like shit after all the things he does for you. And when he decides to buy something for himself, Oh, you get mad and tell him that money should have went to you. I'd like to know how in the world do you think you got it like that? Where do you think you can make any kind of demands of a man then or now? You couldn't even get top shelf Todd, who I've heard is gay, to buy you some flowers that you literally asked for. And then the next thing you know it, flowers ain't shit. Flowers ain't no gift. Get the bag. $100 ain't shit when someone gives it to one of your little girls. But then when you get $40 from Spicy Tyrone, you say your panties getting wet. And then you tell those same followers who you told to get the bag, now all of a sudden it's start small, ask for small things, and then if they give it to you, then you start asking for bigger things. Speaking of Spicy Tyrone, you go back and forth to whether they're good or bad, but only when it suits you, or you got time for them only when it suits you. They ain't shit, though. They don't provide, they don't protect, only when it suits you. You want to do a scamming collab with Angel Ramirez. That didn't work out for you. You're doing an in house interview, finger combing your hair with Mr. Right 1999 on your sofa. The same men you claim that kill us every 5.5 hours. Then you got those same type of guys driving you around town to Walmart, cutting your yard. And on top of that, you pay them $200 to cut your yard. Bitch, you stupid. I see why you're broke. Getting money from you is like taking candy from a sleeping baby. Easy. And now recently, you're paying a biracial. We still don't call him Tyrone. You're paying him X amount of $100 to ride around with you in your car and show you how to get around. You can do that for free. It's called GPS, Global Positioning System, if I'm not mistaken. Why are you going on and on for hours about how dangerous black men are? And then you come on and do a live stream. Now you've talked about other races of men like Top Chef Todd. the guy who you sucked on 5 times for Applebee's in the back of his Jeep. But why is it every time, hell, that could have been a Tyrone too. But why is it every time you have direct contact, direct engagement with a male, or male creature, as you say, why is it always a black male? Mowing your lawn, taking you to Walmart, the one who's teaching you how to drive, the 70-year-old who you're talking to, along with the biracial one who's showing you how to drive. Why is your biggest interaction with men, why are they the black males if you hate them so much? I mean, you claim to live in a multiracial neighborhood. Why aren't any of the men of the other races helping you? I bet you don't even ask them. Why? Because you want a black man. You seek their help, the little damsel in distress. You probably talk all sweet. You might even use that dumbass Becky voice. I don't know. But you are constantly interacting with those who's supposed to kill us every 5.5 hours. How can you preach one thing and then you go out and do another? You're no different than some of these preachers out here. Preaching to the congregation not to sin, and then when you leave the pulpit, or in your case, you turn off YouTube, you go right out there and commit those sins. Get the bag, ladies. Live in the suburbs. Get you a Brad. Rest in your femininity. Take them for their money. Get an allowance. Don't take cash. Why can't he give you the credit card? Why he gotta give you cash? Why you gotta tell him what you're gonna spend it on? But in reality, all we hear you actually do is give up your money. $200 mow the lawn, which is ridiculous. Another couple of hundred to have biracial Tyrone ride around with you. And Lord knows how much you pay to have that house fixed up. Paying for milkmen to stay with you. Offering $1,000 to the F boys on YouTube to stay with you, Big Mama, for a week. And most recently, you knocked it down to $700. Did you decrease in value? Or are you just now having to pinch them pennies? Begging for cash apps for your long lives, which, I mean, if they really supported you, it wouldn't have to get to that point. You have to beg them, or used to anyway, beg them to call in. And when you only had one phone, you said you weren't going to buy another because they won't call in. And I know several times they did donate to help you get a phone. Let's help Crystal get a phone. But before you got that phone, you went and spent and bought $500 worth of wigs. No, I ain't knocking the wigs because hell, I wear them too. But $500 worth of wigs. And I believe somebody gave you a $500 cash out, so that's probably where that money went to. Instead of going to improve your channel, instead of buying that phone at that time. Why are you why are you even buying $500 worth of wigs? It's not like you go to work. Not yet anyway. It's not like you have a man, but then again, maybe you secretly do with the ones who are helping you out. And you're just not telling us. Because I very much doubt you're going to come back with I went on a date with a black man story and it went bad. I doubt you're going to come back with that kind of story. But I don't see why you'd be afraid to, because your supporters believe all your other bullshit. They believe it or overlook it. But I guess that's what happens when people trauma bond. And speaking of trauma bonding, I've heard several women you've asked, encouraged, demanded, whatever. Several women have come on your live streams, called in to tell some horrific story that happened to them. And I sit back and listen, not only to them, but to you. And I can tell that you have no interest in really giving them advice. I mean, not that you really could, not any from experience anyway. Good advice, that is. You just want to hear all the gory details. You want to hear how they were abused or trapped in some kind of relationship. Or one caller even called in to talk about how they were raped. And you just want to talk about, oh, this man, he was big and tall and this, that, and the other, and yada, yada. He was big, right? He was tall. He was here. He did this. He did that. You made it all about him rather than her. I heard nothing about you having any words of, encouragement or congratulating her that she got out of that situation. And I believe another caller, she was actually in her situation at that moment. And again, you just want to hear the gory details. I really think that you thrive off of that shit, especially if it's in a moment where you don't have any going on for yourself. You like to hear the pain of others. And I wouldn't be surprised if you were sitting there smiling because you don't show yourself anymore, but I can just sense it. And if it's not showing on your face, it's in your head. It's in your head like all those other stupid scenarios that you give of different characters and the voices. Or maybe those are just your own split personalities coming out. And whenever you have someone in the chat or who calls in to say that they had a good dad or their life was somehow the opposite of yours, oh, you don't want to hear that. Oh, okay, so you got a good dad. So what do you want us to say about that? To me, you don't want these women to get better. Because the ones who are fortunate to have better, you are quickly to dismiss them. You only want to hear the ones that are troubled presently, like yourself. And right now, you claim to be done with men, at the same time, simultaneously dealing with them. And then when you have one who actually finds a man, you do everything in your manipulative power to destroy that. And make a little money off of it for yourself too, taking more than half of what she got and smiling to yourself, I'm sure. That's why you like them young, because you can manipulate them. And speaking of young, it's very disgusting how you feel that because you were 14 dealing with a 24-year-old, that you yourself think that a 14-year-old is okay because they're in high school, and you said that's as low as you would go. You wouldn't do an 8-year-old. Y'all were discussing an 8-year-old. You wouldn't do an 18-year-old. But 14-year-old, oh, that's fine. And you know what I call that? As they say, hurt people hurt people. Well, guess what? Abused people become abusers themselves. And with that, stop lying about your older son. It's out there, public record. You got arrested. No signs of trauma on Angelo. So stop lying. Because anyone can look it up. It's Angelo's case, Lopez, or should I say the New York versus Lopez, however you want to put it. Lopez versus New York. It's all there. Nothing traumatic happened to Angelo by his older brother. Nothing was found. Look it up.